Hey gamers, it's G from the corner, and today we're going to be talking about Super Mario Party Jamboree, which just released. I am a massive is an understatement, honestly. I should stop using the word. I'm a Mario Party fanatic, if you will, okay? Myself, my friends, we love the series, we love the games, we have played too much Mario Party. But as some of you might know, the series has had a rocky last decade or so. There's been plenty of gameplay shifts, lack of quality in releases, but things seem to finally be on the right track. Mario Party Superstars was a fantastic return to form with classic boards fully remade to boot, and Super Mario Party Jamboree, a sort of successor to Super Mario Party, but really just the next game in the series, goes even further with brand new boards, minigames, modes. There's so much in this game, which was a big complaint I had with Mario Party Superstars and most of the Nintendo Cube, ND Cube, whatever you want to call that team, their Mario Party efforts. And I'm just going to say it from the top. If you have 60 American dollars burning a hole in your pocket and you need a party game, this is the one to get, no questions asked. This is one of the best Mario Parties ever made, and definitely the best one on Switch. And in all honesty, I don't even know how to approach this review. I think this game is of such high quality, and, you know, as somebody who's been so invested in the series, I feel like I've barely even scratched the surface of it. Sure, I've played on almost every board at this point, and I've checked out all the modes, but, you know, games like this, I feel like are going to need at least a month, if not more, of savoring to fully form an opinion on. That's why I'm calling this a review, but think of it more of as a first impression. There will be a discussion within a month or two where me and the Mario Party experts, who I have run multiple games a week of for years, are going to be sitting down and talking about this game and really comparing it to the other games and seeing how good of an entry it is almost 25 years into the series' history. But for now, I think I should just start by talking about the main mode of the game, Mario Party. It is Mario Party. If you have played Mario Party before, you know what you're getting into. Players maneuver around a board, collecting coins to buy stars. After everybody goes, they play a minigame. You know how this thing works. So what makes Jamboree good? Well, first and foremost, it is the classic traditional Mario Party gameplay, but that's a given at this point. This is the third entry since they finally went back to formula, and I think it's the best one so far. From a basic level of how balancing works, of how they kind of implemented mechanics and systems, I think this is the best version of it. At the very least, since Mario Party 8. The only thing I am slightly miffed on is there is no option to include 3 bonus stars in a game. Old Mario Parties had 3 bonus stars. The newer ones have had 2, but Superstars had an option to have 3, and it was a static 3 like in Mario Parties 1 to 6, the Coin Star, Happening Star, or Minigame Star, and I think they renamed them to Rich, Eventful, and still Minigame Star. In this game, there is a classic option, but it's only for event and coin. Now, if you really want to, you could just pretend that there's a third bonus star. They give you the minigame totals, so just pretend Minigame Star still exists if it's that big of a deal. But I don't know. It's not real, so it doesn't really count to me. And I mean, the bonus stars always kind of made for some sort of comeback mechanic. They were an alternate thing you could play for, especially in 1 to 6 when you knew what the bonus stars were. It's not like they kept track of these things. Coin Star was simply the highest coin total anybody had. You know, nobody's really taking note of how many happening spaces or mini games were won by individual players, but you could still play for them, and the goal was always to get them, you know? Even if there's a 2-star lead at the end of the game, it's not over yet. You know, somebody can come back with a bonus star, but now with only 2 bonus stars, it's much harder for that to happen. Which might not be as much of a problem most of the time. In most of the games I played, this wasn't much of an issue. But there was one in particular where I kind of felt like, damn it, there should have been a third bonus star here because I ended the game on a 2-star lead, and that doesn't usually happen. We're all pretty evenly matched. Maybe I just had game knowledge, though. We'll see what happens with further games. Another blunder, and really the only other blunder, would have to be the game's pace. Mario Party games usually take about, let's say, an hour or so for 20 turns. You know, maybe a bit more than that depending on the group, but that's usually how we manage. But Jamboree is probably one of, if not the slowest game featuring the original gameplay style in the series. 10 turns almost always takes well over an hour. We can barely muster to play a 20-turn game of Jamboree, which again would take almost 3 hours depending on the group. And it's kind of funny because Super Mario Party also had this problem, but I could very clearly pinpoint that there were a ton of things in that game, like animations and just extra little things that drag the game out. But Jamboree, I think, just has a lot going on. The one big one would have to be these ally minigames. Okay, so the allies from Super Mario Party are kind of back in a sort of new form. I guess because they have the super moniker, they probably thought they should bring them back. But honestly, I really like them in this game. You have to pass one on a board, and then you play a minigame, and then whoever wins the minigame gets the ally. And now, for the next 3 or however many turns the ally is still around on the board, they can kind of do a bunch of cool stuff like, oh, let's say Waluigi can steal the coins of players that you pass. Bowser Jr. will play a trap item on a space that you land on. Really cool stuff like that. And everything you do, you can do twice. You'll get 6 coins instead of 3 on a blue space. You'll lose 6 coins instead of 3 on a red space. You can buy 2 items from the shop, and you'll have to spin the Bowser roulette twice. You could also buy 2 stars if you even have enough money. It's a really fun mechanic, and it's not super broken because, again, you get one and they'll be gone within 3 turns. And if anybody passes you, they take it as well. In Super Mario Party, the allies would always bloat your dice roll. They would make everything feel imprecise, and you would always just kind of be running through these super small boards really easily if you got a few allies. Like, if you had 4 allies, that was it. The game was over. You won. Whereas here, it's actually a balanced system. The big problem then comes in the actual pace of these minigames. All these minigames, for some reason, are upwards of 3 minutes long. They're all way longer than a standard minigame. Like, Mario's ally minigame is literally just 3 old minigames from Mario Party 1, 2, and 5. It's so weird because systems were already in place for way easier ally gaining motions. Like, in Mario Party Star Rush, there would be situations where 2 players would duel for an ally, and they would just play a simple minigame that wouldn't even require them to leave the board. It would be done in 10 seconds. Like, why make it such an ordeal? I really don't get it, and it really drags the game down. But everything else I really felt like was going fast enough. And that's the honest thing of it. A lot of these boards aren't crazy complicated, but for whatever reason, unlike older entries in the series, I feel like 10 or 15 turns on some of these boards is enough, I feel like 10 turns on Mario's Rainbow Castle, yeah, that's totally fine, honestly. Like, it's not like I feel like I'm missing out, whereas, in older games, I'd play like 10, 15 turns, I'd be like, that was way too short, we needed to go for 20, right? This game, I think, is kind of built more around 10, 15 turns, which, I mean, hey, it doesn't have the highs of 50 turns like in the older titles. It's only a 30 turn maximum. So I've accepted it, and I'm totally fine with it. It's not that big of a deal, I play 10 turns with one group, 15 with another. That's fine. No issues for me. Item play is also phenomenal. There are plenty of items. I think 37 items, which I think is the most in series history. And you know what? The item play in the Indie Cube games hasn't been super crazy, all right? Super had whatever, you just get the star pipe in Super, and that was that. Superstars got a little bit better with some more interesting items, but Jamboree is crazy, man. They got double and triple dice that give you money for the amount you roll. They got hexes back from Mario Party DS, or the orbs from 5 and 6, however you want to call it. Dude, like, that's crazy. You can play star steal traps. People land on spaces, they'll give you stars. Pipe items that warp you to a random space on the board. Like, what? This game's got great item play. Up there with some of the best. I still think the orb system from 6 and the crazy items from 3 top it. But honestly, considering we're going from literally just dice block items in Mario Party 9 to this, I mean, they could top it easily with the next entry. Easily. Next, let's talk about the boards. Now, did they mess up? Did they only give us 3, 4, or 5 boards? They gave us 7 boards. 7 boards! Oh my goodness. Every Hudson Soft Mario Party game from Mario Party 1 to Mario Party 8 gave us, at the bare minimum, 6 boards. Meanwhile, ND Cube over here being like, we're bringing back the classic gameplay style. Here's only 4 boards. Like, are you serious? Oh, but we have a bunch of other modes, so it's fine. No, it's not fine. Then Superstars comes in 3 years later with much better boards, significantly better boards, and only 5 of them. No DLC, no hidden unlocks, just 5 boards from Mario Party 1, 2, and 3. They've been remastered and they're great, but there's not even much of any side content in the game. Meanwhile, Jamboree over here. Jamboree making these games look like a joke. They come in with 7 boards, and these are 7 of the craziest, most, highest fidelity boards I've ever seen in this series. There's swooping camera pans as you run around. There's so much going on in these environments. These, by far, top the grandiose nature of the boards from the GameCube entries and 8. They really outdid themselves here. There's more boards than ever, too, and there's plenty of modes. I don't know what Super Mario Party's excuse is. You should not buy that game. That game sold a lot of money, so we could get this game. So maybe I have to thank it, though. And are the boards any good? Of course they are. Oh my goodness. I've played 6 of the 7 at the time of this recording, and I barely have any gripes with any of them. In Super Mario Party, I really didn't like any of the boards. There was plenty of gameplay issues with that game that prevented any of them from being all too good, aside from maybe Powder Keg Mine. Mario Party Superstars has an easy 3 boards that are good, depending on who you ask. You know, I personally like Woody Woods, Horrorland, and Tropical Island in that game. Spaceland's alright, and Birthday Cake is whatever, it's there, it gets the job done. But man, I really enjoyed all the boards in this game. Mega Wiggler's Tree Party is a fun beginner board with an interesting gimmick, you know, nothing too crazy, but still an enjoyable romp. Roll'em Raceway, while being a simple board, is still plenty of fun. There's enough baked into those general gameplay mechanics to keep it interesting. Rainbow Galleria is one of the most complex boards in the entire series, and I love it for that. King Bowser's Keep is one of the better Bowser boards in the series, with an interesting gimmick where everything Bowser steals goes into a vault that players can repossess. And the 2 returning boards, Mario's Rainbow Castle and Western Land, were far better than they ever were in their home games. The minigames are also fantastic, but let's be real, even in the worst mainline Mario parties, they still are. Overall, Jamboree has one of the best main Mario Party game modes in the entire series, but there's even more on top of that. Much like Super Mario Party, there are plenty of side modes to sink your teeth into, some revolving around motion controls, a few revolving around online with 8 to 20 players, and even a single-player campaign that isn't just a romp through all the boards where you're forced to win. It's instead kind of a mixture of everything else left over that they didn't put into this game. You collect mini-stars from Mario Party 9 and 10 while doing tasks and playing mini-games for enemies and allies just roaming around a board like Mario Party Advance. It's really weird, honestly, and I kind of like it. I think it might be one of the best, if not the best, single-player offering in a Mario Party game, even if it's nothing too crazy. You know, the side content in this game is not what you're here for, but it's a good extra. I really like Rhythm Kitchen, you know, kind of a rhythm heaven, but with motion controls, and, you know, it's all got a food theme. I really like when stuff's themed like this, and, you know, where there's not enough food theming in video games. Need more cuisine in our gaming, you know? Like I said, it looks pretty good. The music's pretty alright. A few of these tunes are going to be stuck in my head, especially the board music. The character roster is enormous. I think to the game's detriment, personally. They put way too many random enemies in this game to the point where they kind of are running out of traditional Mario characters to use as board elements, to the point where they just said, screw it, here's Spike playable, but also Spike is on the board. Boo is playable, but Boo is on every board, and it's not King Boo or Pink Boo, it's just Boo on every board. Oh, look at that, you're playing as Boo when you run into Boo. Bowser's playable again. What do we do for Bowser's bases? Oh, it's this imposter Bowser that Kamek whipped up, because Kamek's the host, even though Kamek was playable in the series before Bowser. And if you really need a Bowser or Koopa Kid stand-in, I mean, Bowser Jr. is already on the roster, so you might as well have just made Kamek playable and made the plot that Bowser's holding a party on an island resort. You could have just made him the host for the foreseeable future, but yeah, whatever. You know what? I'm cool with this. It's fine. Right? Maybe the next game we can get original hosts back in. If we're just getting better and better, maybe the next game will have 8 boards. Maybe it'll be Mario Party Maker. Tumble will be back. I don't know. The sky's really the limit here, because honestly, these have just been getting better and better, you know? Super was a return to form in the visual sense. Heck, even Top 100 was the first inkling that they were going to start going back to the well, back to what people wanted from the games. But Superstars was such a pie-in-the-sky sort of thing. I mean, remastering old boards, and now here we are with Jamboree just being a damn good Mario Party again. They might not be yearly, but it seems like the quality is up. And while I might not have mentioned it earlier, this game addresses many of my complaints from Superstars. Stuff that was very minor, of course. I really loved that game, but there were a few issues I had with it, like, you know, there not being enough boards, obviously. But even smaller things, like Bowser wasn't really super effective in that game. He would only take 20, maybe 30 coins in the worst case scenario, but now he's a piece of crap. He'll take stars from you. On some boards, he's just guaranteed to take stars. The team clearly knows what people want. I mean, I'm sure many of the old staff is still on board with this game. The guy who directed Superstars directed Mario Party 6. Most of the Hudson guys went over to Nintendo Cube, and they are the ones making Mario Party. They just had a bit of a bump in the road when it came time for HD development and all that such. You know, we had a bit of a lull where there were 5 trash ones, and, you know, them one, and now we're back to greatness. Now we are here. It might take a little longer, you know, once every 3 years instead of once every year, but I'm gonna be real, I was never really following this crap. I was like 4 years old when Mario Party 8 came out, so I didn't know what was going on. All right, every 3 years for a Mario Party, yeah, that sounds about right, you know. Let them cook. as the kids say. Let them take their time on this one, you know? ND Cube makes a lot of other random party games for Nintendo, like in between Super and Superstars, they made Clubhouse games. In between Superstars and this game, they made Everybody Want to Switch. Now, both games were probably not super high priority. They didn't require too many resources, especially Everybody Want to Switch. That clearly seems like such an afterthought of a game. But you gotta realize that maybe a lot of those other Mario parties from them were not very good because there wasn't much time between them. You know, 9 came out a year and a half later, we got Island Tour. A year and a half later, we got 10. A year and a half later, we got Star Rush. A year later, we got Island Tour. And a year later, we got Super. And that's not mentioning that Wii Party U and Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival also came out in that time frame. They had these guys making a lot of crap and they didn't put much into it, but now it seems like they're giving them nice 2 to 3 year development cycles to make these lovely party games, and I, for one, could not be happier. This game gets my highest seal of recommendation. It is definitely my highlight for gaming this year, and it's one of the few games I have played this year that I cannot stop thinking about. Really, I'm doing work, I'm doing school stuff, I'm just out and about. I'm like, damn, I want to get some people together and play some Jamboree. I'm sure it's going to wear off soon, but there hasn't been a game that's made me feel this way this year, and that's how you know they made a damn good game. Keep yourselves cornered for more damn good game reviews. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.